Welcome to another video from the fanpub.com. It's Alan Sean back again.
Yeah, good to be back.
We just the next video in our series about how to play fantasy football. We're talking about PPR leagues.
Yeah, okay.
Can you just explain to everybody what a PPR league is?
Yeah,
how it differs from standard?
Let's get the terminology out the way first. It's point per reception. So what that really means is every time one of your players catches a ball, they get a bonus 1 point. That's pretty huge, actually. So in essence, what that really means is that players who generally get a lot of catches are going to be worth a lot more points. There's a very simple thing I try to use is when you're looking at most sites, particularly when you're new, it's quite difficult to find sites that specifically focus on points per reception. And it can get a bit confusing because you can look at certain leagues like Fantasy Pros, and unless you know where to exactly look, you might think that the standard scoring is the same.
There are PPR rankings on there.
There is. You've just got to know where to find them.
Yeah.
If in doubt, one of the easiest things to do is remember roughly the score that you see, add a third on top, is roughly the value of the player if
it depends, because some players catch more balls than others.
Yeah,
so
if it's a wide receiver or a running back that catches a lot of balls.
So people like, running backs that, a pass catches get more value in this, like Theo Riddick, he'd be one, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Charles Sims, those kind of guys, Danny Woodhead, they would get more potential.
David
points.
Johnson's even more spectacular.
Stratospheric. But it's just about understanding that, you're right, you want to find a site that gives you detailed information on what the differences are in value of those players, and you will see some jumps.
So anyone that's targeted a lot, so targeted by the quarterback a lot and catches a lot of balls, they're the ones that have slightly more value in this.
Yeah, massive value.
In this genre, aren't they?
Yeah, and there are now hybrids of this starting to creep up where people get a point for if they make a first down or things like that start creeping in because of this format. But it seems to be very popular, and there's a lot of leagues that use a sort of we use standard leagues, but a lot of leagues have moved to half-point PPR, so not quite the same. It just basically means half a point per reception.
So one of the things you need to look at when you're doing any fantasy league is the actual scoring settings. And you're looking at the point per reception. So if it's half, obviously, the value isn't as much as it would be if it's a full point PPR for the players that get a lot of catches, isn't it? So
you're just weighing them up. That's all you're doing. You're just working that out. And that's really what point per reception is. And what it will do is inflate. The obvious knock-on of this is wide receivers get a big uplift, and certain league formats, depending on the size, it means that it's much easier to find wide receivers with a lot more talent. You see all the good ones, all the top sort of 50 will go off the board very, very quickly in most
more
leagues.
So than they would in standard.
As much as obviously still the elite running backs are brilliant, if a running back's just a running back and doesn't get a lot of catches, then their value's a lot lower than a wide receiver who's getting 90 to 100 catches a year. And it can be a number of things you have to weigh up much more than you would do in a standard league scoring, where the running back.
Yeah, because Ezekiel Elliott, he's obviously a stud, but he doesn't get as many catches as, say, David Johnson and Lev Bell, doesn't he?
No, they'll be in a different league all of their own, probably. And then these are the things that you would be considering in a PPR league or a half-point PPR. That's really all it comes down to, is just finding. I think the easiest way of looking at it is find, and Alan highlighted it very well, somebody like Fantasy Pros is a great one to use.
What I'll do is I'll leave a link into the PPR ranking, and
then you can have a look at the differences between. I always say have a look at where a player lies in the rankings for PPR and standard, and you can see the movers and the fallers, and why they do that is generally down to the volume of catches they get.
I mean, you can still take into consideation the players you like, but you can look at the rankings, at least have an idea of where people should be going.
Very much so, yeah.
And this is an expert consensus ranking, so you're talking about all the experts who do fantasy football.
Yeah,
Sean and myself included. So, if you've got any questions,
feel free to shoot
put it on the video.
And we can cover them off in our podcast as well, or future fantasy videos.
If you like the video, please smash the thumbs up button and consider subscribing. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.